Welcome back to the European Summer Promotion Tournament, where it's time to kick things off with Millennium versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. After a hard loss to Roccat in the 2014 Spring Promotion Tournament, Ninjas in Pyjamas have established themselves as a dominant challenger team in Europe and are ready to fight their way into the LCS here on the big stage.
Well, in the beginning, we thought that we're LCS players and we should be in LCS.
They picked up 3 players that had been to Season 3 World Championships. This was a great team, but they completely underestimated the competition.
Nukeduck's just getting melted down, dropped straight away. Zorozero's got to run for it. A 2v1 from Overpow, and Ninjas in Pyjamas are now 0-2 down.
After we lost the first time, I knew we were screwed.
I think they had trouble playing on the stage. I'm not really sure if they were in the right position as a team, you know, whether they were practiced enough, whether they had the synergy there.
They came up against basically what is now Roccat. And well, anyone that's seen this split knows Roccat are a very good team.
Double kill by Nidalee. This could be it, D-Man. And this is Ninjas in Pyjamas going out of the LCS.
That was, for me, the most stressful era of my pro gaming, actually. After the relegation, we had to rethink about ourselves.
In the start, it hit my ego pretty hard that we lost so hard against KMT.
There's been a lot of issues for them. There's been a lot of roster changes going on, trying to find the right person. It's been the jungler that's been the target.
We didn't have a jungler for 3 months. We just had tryouts. After the 3 months, we finally found Hulberto, and we're happy with him now.
I think Nick needs a solid, steady jungler that can perform every game. You don't need a playmaker, and so I'm gonna try to be as consistent as possible.
Slowly but surely, throughout the challenger here in the spring split, we've seen them getting better, doing well. Okay, they've stumbled a couple of times along the way, but from my experience, the guys that they have really want to be in the LCS. They have this hunger to succeed.
Ninjas in Pyjamas have failed to deliver many times on LAN, but now their competition is arguably under more pressure, and with a lot of wins and losses, NIP may be less afraid of losing on the big stage.
Well, after all the bad stuff that has happened, the only thing we do is just look forward. I just look forward and try to see what I can do next that is the best.
If we fail again with the best opportunity again, because we are playing against the last team, right? The 8th of LCS team, as well as we were playing last time against who we thought was the worst amateur team. So this is definitely the opportunity for redemption.
We have to prove to ourselves again that we are world class players and we deserve to be an LCS.
Ever since we dropped out of relegation, I've only been practicing for pretty much this moment, so it's now or never.
I see that pretty emotional video from the Ninjas in Pyjamas, and as I said in that video itself, this team in particular, they want this so badly. The question is whether they can perform here today.
And the question is what happens if they do not qualify. I mean, Nukeduck just said in the end here, it's now or never, so we will see. Maybe some nerves in game 1, but hopefully they got it under control.
Well, with Millennium sitting out the playoffs, we haven't seen much of them in the last few weeks. And if you recall, they replaced their vocal jungler Araneo with KottenX back in week 10, which has had mixed results for the team.
Yeah, but Millennium looked better in the final week of the Spring Split, going 2 for 2 and beating Alliance with a very strong teamfight performance. They picked up the 2 wins, and it was a big moral boost and should have provided motivation to the players as they headed into relegation here. And if you can beat Alliance, you can beat Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's that simple. So if KottenX here, he can get onto one of his key picks, the Kha'Zix, which he was very dominant on, I think Millennium can do some really good stuff.
But while KottenX has been good on Kha'Zix, we haven't really seen him perform well on any of the other champions yet. I think he needs to show that he's expanded his champion pool during the last few weeks. Otherwise, it's frankly too easy for NIP to ban him out, and Millennium really need KottenX to win this early game.
Yeah. KottenX and Kerp have been the backbone of the Millennium early game. Much like when Araneo was actually playing, they rely on early ganks from their jungler and then on Kerp to win his lane so he can put pressure on the side lanes. And KottenX, he showed some good early game pressure in all his LCS games, but whenever he didn't actually pick up a kill, he became a non-factor in the team fights.
And it seems that Millennium's biggest problem during the split was closing out games. Often it seemed like they'd have their opponents on the ropes only to have them then come back and beat them when they couldn't find a way to end the game.
And there's no doubt that this has been an issue for Millennium, and with an average game length of 41 minutes in their wins, they could really find themselves in trouble against Ninjas in Pajamas because they like to stall games out until they can roll over the enemy and just storm the base. Because again, the Ninjas in Pajamas, they did not have a win in under 32 minutes throughout the Challenger Series. And in the first Challenger Final, the game against Cloud9 Eclipse lasted 67 minutes and 50 seconds. As a whole, when NIP is winning, you're usually looking at a lot of time on the clock.
But that strategy's also really been working for the Ninjas. I mean, if you look at those games, they've been very, very dominant, especially when it comes to the objectives.
100%. In longer games, their objective numbers are impressive. In the two halves of the Challenger Series, they took over 30 dragons, 10 barons, and more than 75 towers. And in the Challenger playoffs alone, they had 10 dragons, 3 barons, and 29 towers. They may take a long time to win their games, but they do it with slow and steady objective control. However, though, in their losses, which tend to be shorter games, they just don't have the same control. During the playoffs, when they lost 3 games to Cloud9 Eclipse, they only had 1 dragon and 0 barons.
And one player that's been making a name for himself and proving to everyone, along with Creaton, that yes, AD carries can actually carry, has been Freeze.
Yeah, Freeze has racked up some very impressive stats, scoring 83 kills, 18 deaths, and 92 assists from the start of the Challenger Series through to the playoffs. And those 18 deaths, they came across 20 games, which means he averages less than 1 death per game. And he tends to favor Lucian, who helped him get his very nice stats here with 38 kills, 8 deaths, and 38 assists. And although he performs well on Draven and Sivir as well, so he has a pretty good champion pool here. But a big reason for the great stats is the fact that Freeze is laning with Miffy, because the dual lane for Ninjas in Pajamas has been very dominant in the Challenger scene, and both players are very mechanically skilled.
Well, coming into this series, Millennium will look to shut down Nukeduck early, while the Ninjas in Pajamas will focus on Kerp. But without a lot of match history between the two teams, strategies on both sides could change very quickly.
Obviously, NIP is right now the strongest team in the Challenger scene, but they're not someone who is unbeatable.
It's been quite a while since we don't play them in scrims or anything like that, so we're going in blind, and they're going in blind.
I think they want to surprise us with something special, either picks or a strategy.
I won't be surprised if we get cheesed the first game and we lose that one, but we just have to take that information and go into the second game.
Need to focus on Nukeduck so he don't get rolling and snowballing really hard.
This is a guy that we have to shut down because with his split push and sick rotations, it's gonna be hard if he gets some early kills.
I think Kerp is their best player, so it's up to me to do good against him, but besides that there is no really key.
I don't think they have a weak link right now. I think maybe Hulberto is not as aggressive as he should be early game, and maybe we're gonna abuse it somehow.
If we don't get overly surprised, we will be confident that we will win.
We just want to beat them and go back to LCS.
A lot of talk about the mid laners, which we're going to come to in just a second. But first of all, let's check out the starting lineups for both teams, starting with Millennium on the blue side. They have Kevin in the top lane, KottenX in the jungle, Kerp in the mid lane, and the duo of Creaton and Jree.
And on the red side, we have Ninjas in Pajamas, Zorozero's in the top lane, Hulberto's in the jungle, Nukeduck is the mid laner, Freeze is the AD carry, and Miffy is the support.
And today's featured matchup will take place in that mid lane where Kerp meets Nukeduck. Alexic, of course, named Nukeduck the best mid laner in Europe earlier on in the split, and he has looked very strong in the Challenger scene. He heavily favors those assassin champions like Zed, LeBlanc, and Ahri, and Ninjas in Pajamas put a lot of focus on getting him ahead in the lane, as Nukeduck often split pushes and snowballs that lead.
Yeah, Ninjas in Pajamas, they love to 1-3-1 split push with Zorozero in one lane and then Nukeduck in the other lane, which is why they need to get Nukeduck ahead early on so he can kill everyone in this 1v1 split push. The 4.5 patch, however, could actually be an issue for Nukeduck, as assassins have a harder time picking up kills now, simply due to exhaust reducing your damage by 50%. And that's why I like the fact he picked up Twisted Fate, who's a champion that can focus more on pushing and rotating rather than straight up fighting 1v1, and therefore isn't as affected by the exhaust.
So Kerp started out the season only playing the assassins as well, but in the last few weeks he switched around and started to pick champions, like Ziggs, which is definitely a change away. And it's big because that change in focus and play style it means that he's tending now to focus on winning his own lane and farming, while the assassin plays are more focused on winning the other lanes by roaming.
Yeah, but again, the Ziggs would be a smart pick for Kerp here, as he needs to shut down Nukeduck in lane in order to stop the NIP split pushing. Otherwise, Millennium, they'll be on the back foot trying to defend all the lanes. I do actually hope, though, that he will pick an assassin himself and try and kill Nukeduck in the lane, and then all of a sudden, Millennium can start doing the split push towards NIP.
So we're moving in towards champion select here then. Let's talk about some of the other areas of the map where we expect to see bans and picks. And you mentioned that 1-3-1 split push, so let's start there. Zorozero, he's surely got to be shut down as well. He's a bigger not a bigger factor, but as big of a factor as Nukeduck in this game.
Yeah, Zorozero is definitely one of the stars here. And the weird thing about Zorozero is I haven't seen him play Jax yet. So I'm actually expecting NIP to ban away Jax from Millennium, and maybe even ban away the Ziggs too, to make sure Nukeduck can always farm in the lane, and also Millennium won't be able to just extend the games.
Well, here we go then, into picks and bans. What are we going to see coming out? First ban actually will be Lulu from Millennium. Interestingly enough, we have seen Lulu, in fact, the last 2 games of the split, both losses against Rocket and SK. Millennium picked Lulu for that mid lane. On the other side, Jax, you said it exactly. They are going to ban that out. Don't want Kevin having that. Zorozero obviously doesn't want to play it either.
So he might still play the Jax, of course, Zorozero, but they don't want to risk Millennium first picking it. Millennium could ban away Renekton in the last ban here, then first pick the Jax. Not going to happen. Banned away. Kha'Zix, very, very standard ban against Millennium. KottenX, he showed it in the LCS, how strong he is. And it would obviously be the first pick for Millennium if it was let through.
Thresh also was banned out here by Millennium, and we were watching a few NIP games back, and it becomes clear that Mithy is up there with the best Thresh players in Europe.
He is very skilled when it comes to his mechanics, and that's where a champion like Thresh, you can make a lot of big plays on it, of course, with both your flay, with your hook. So they want to ban away, and also it should give a bit of an easier time in the bottom lane for the dual lane here from Millennium, unless, of course, we see lane swaps.
So Irelia was the final ban for Millennium, LeBlanc the final ban for NIP, and interestingly enough, we had Kevin on the analyst desk in last week's playoffs, and he said, you know, Irelia really loves to play his Irelia, but not today, banned out.
And Irelia is such a strong champion. As soon as she gets a few items, she can start split pushing as well. Yes, it's not the same impact as a Jax in the 1v1s, but Irelia can then join in for team fights where she's also very, very strong. So it's a good ban against Zorozero. He's been playing it quite a lot, especially also in Copenhagen games last week.
And as I said, the LeBlanc taking away a champion that both Nukeduck and Kerp have played before. First pick, though, let's focus on that because it's Evelynn here. We talked about KottenX heavily before the game, how he needs to have a good start. They banned that Kha'Zix away as we thought. He's going with Evelynn this time.
Yeah, we also talked about the early game pressure from the jungler of Millennium. It's the style they used over here. Doing the same thing here with KottenX. Evelynn, one of the best junglers early game at providing pressure on the map. She's not necessarily the best in the straight-up fight, but just by the fact you got your stealth here, people don't know where you're going, it just puts so much pressure on you. You never really know if you can go in for the fight or if you just have to wait back, because Evelynn could be nearby. It also requires NIP to put some deep wards in around the camps in the jungle of Millennium to see if they can spot this Evelynn. It also makes it harder for NIP in the late game when they want to split push, because Evelynn is very good at joining in on the sides.
So, 4 ninjas in pajamas here. We see the support locked in Leona with that Thresh banned away. Mithy wanted to get his choice in earlier, as well as Elise, which didn't have to pick at this stage, which may show us that NIP are waiting for a few more Millennium picks before they lock in more important champions.
100%. It gives NIP the chance to counterpick something of Millennium here by just saying, you know what, we take our jungler, we're fine with Elise. Very strong jungler, of course. Some people thought she was going to disappear a little bit here in 4.5. Definitely not the case. Everyone still plays her. Still very, very strong. The Leona lock-in. You don't normally see just an engaged support like Leona being instant locked in here before you see anything else on Millennium side except for the jungler. But it's clearly Mithy showing he wants this champion now that Thresh is banned away.
So then, the next picks for Millennium, Janna and Lucian. So securing that bottom lane. Janna actually a champion which you've seen coming out a little bit more. Fnatic, of course, ran that what I'm going to call a horrible shield comp, certainly to play against, that's for sure. But it will still be the first time that we actually see Jree playing.
And the thing about Janna is, she's very good in a lane swap, but in a straight-up 2v2 bottom lane, she's not very strong in the early levels. She will have issues, no sustain, of course, got the shield to rely on, your damage is non-existent, which means if we do get the dual lane here from NIP side, they could apply a lot of pressure onto Millennium. But if we do get the lane swaps instead, Millennium would actually be in a very good position, because also Lucian, with his passive, getting a double hit onto the turret, so they could push fairly fast. Of course, Elise on the other side from NIP could counter it a little bit.
So for NIP, they locked in Mundo, a typical Zorozero champion in the top lane, and Draven. Something that Freeze has done here a lot is wait for that Lucian normally to go away and then get himself the Draven afterwards. We know how good he is with that champion.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best Draven players we have, and one of the few people actually left in Europe who still plays Draven. Very, very strong champion if you snowball the lane here. So as long as he can get his stacks going, get a gank in from Hulberto, get a kill onto him, the snowballing will start. Draven will become very, very strong when it comes to single target damage. So when you have Elise, when you have Leone to lock down a target, and then with the single target damage of Draven here, can be very scary for Millennium.
So the other side for Millennium here, Shyvana to go up against Mundo, a matchup which we've seen a collective 3,894 times in the last 3 or 4 months, and also Karthus locked in for Kerp.
So what I like about this Karthus pick is when you're against something like Leona, she want to go in your face, she want to engage onto you. That's where Karthus is perfect, because when NIP then pile onto Millennium, Karthus just sits there, he will die, he's still doing damage to everyone afterwards. So that's what I like about this pick here from Millennium's side. When it comes to straight up pushing turrets or sieging in the late game, they don't really have too good of a lineup with it. I mean, yes, Janna, Lucian can do a lot of it, but Evelynn, of course, she's melee, she needs to go and hit the turret. Karthus is not exactly a tower pushing machine by himself, where NIP on the other side, with the likes of now Twisted Fate, of course, being locked in for Nukeduck, very strong at pushing the turrets. We have the range onto Elise, very good at pushing turrets either. Draven, of course, few issues when it comes to pushing the turret, because it can be hard for you if you get the wall by Karthus because you're standing in range of it, and then Millennium can actually engage onto you. Freeze will be in big trouble. So both lineups here, very focused on the small fights, not too much focused on straight up just sieging down a turret like we have seen a lot of here, especially in Europe.
Well, we are going to be seeing teleports run as well in that top lane, which a big factor probably here for Ninjas in Pyjamas, specifically when Nukeduck hits level 6, means that you can have all of a sudden a 2v2 in bottom, and then it's a 4 versus 2.
Yeah, all of a sudden the TF is there, joining in, giving up an easy kill for NIP, but that's where, of course, the Karthus ultimate is also there, so Millennium can try and turn it around. Both teams focusing on some global.
Well, with both teams here getting into the Rift, and with a spot in the LCS, that's it, I've only been saying it all year long, up for grabs. Let's check out your votes to see who you think will make the cut. According to LOLesports.com, you've picked Ninjas in Pyjamas by 71%, a big number. But looking at, you know, the reaction on social media and Reddit and the likes, everyone seems to have NIP as favorites here.
Yeah, but it was the same thing at relegation the last time.
True.
And we don't know how NIP will perform on the stage. We don't know when it really, really counts now. So we need to see. I think the first game can tell a lot about how both these teams come into this. And before that, I don't think we can say who's the favorite.
Well, here we go then, into game. It's the first match of this best of 5 between Millennium and the Ninjas in Pyjamas for a spot in the summer split of the European LCS. And a lot on the line here. We heard it in the videos earlier on. They're basically fighting for their career, for their lifestyle and livelihood. As we get into this one though, level 1, let's talk about that a little bit here.
Well, TF, of course, is a very good champion, level 1. You have your stun. Leona can pick her Q as well, or her E, so they can lock down a target. NIP would be able to set something up with the CC they can bring. And then, of course, Freeze coming in. Quite a lot of single target damage already from the level 1 point. Millennium side, not the best level 1 here. They don't really want a straight up fight, especially Karthus. Yes, he can do quite some single target damage, but when the team is staying together, your damage at level 1 is very, very low.
Well, we do see that NIP have come in. Millennium have seen that happen in there. The ward was also spotted because of the fact that Jree was hanging off to the side. So NIP most definitely inside of the Millennium jungle, and it looks like they may head out of this one. Will they look to protect buffs elsewhere across the map, or will they hang around here? If you look at Millennium's positioning, the bottom lane is very much down the bottom lane with 3 in the mid.
Yeah, and I think we need to talk about is the fact that Miffy here decided to start full wards. Pink ward, doubles green ward here, and of course with potion and a mana potion, focusing fully on sustain, no items, and then he just wanted early vision in here. Already one of the wards being cleared away. The pink ward was put down. Millennium went straight and cleared it. Still a ward around the Wraith camp, so NIP will spot out if Evelynn is going around here. Whenever she takes the camp, of course, she pops out of stealth, so you can see here, you got full vision, and now they're going straight towards the blue buff.
Straight in towards blue, and Millennium have already moved back around onto their red buff side, so this is going to be a blue steal from the Ninjas in Pajamas. 4 members on that top side. We see KottenX there just getting his red buff, and doesn't take a genius to realize that he's going to head straight over to the NIP blue now.
Of course, and Jree is even going with him to make sure this blue buff will go over to KottenX. They need him for this early game. They need him to get a good start so he can apply pressure on the lanes here. Of course, when it actually comes to compositions early game for both these teams, Karthus versus TF, it's not a lane where you're going to see a lot of kills. It's going to be hard for both of them to actually kill each other here, but they can farm really well, both of them. Make sure they get very, very strong and then can start either porting around, of course, popping the ultimate from Karthus to help the other lanes, or fast rotate around for pushes.
So this is interesting now, and we can talk about how the meta has evolved to this very style that Millennium are pulling off. They bring their jungler and their top laner into the action, and they're going to try and fast push down this bottom outer turret. However, Ninjas in Pajamas haven't reacted to this one in the usual way, which is an exact mirror on the other side of the map.
Ninjas in Pajamas is very, very slow. The thing Millennium did was they instant push up the wave, so they didn't build up this big wave we see up in the top lane for NIP. Now they're gonna have multiple waves coming towards the turret. It means it's easier for this turret here to clear the wave, but Millennium gets a lot of damage onto it. Hulberto now joining in, Zorozero of course staying in the bottom lane, so let's see who's gonna be the fastest here. Millennium, very good start though.
Yeah, that turret gonna go down here first of all. That'll be the first one of the game coming in for Millennium. The question is, do they keep pushing here, or what is the answer? Kevin has already headed up towards his top tower, which also has a decent wave of minions. Another one coming in there, so that turret is going to be going down. It'll leave us tied in towers at this early stage, but if you look at the minimap, you can see that Millennium aren't stopping in the bottom lane.
And that's why NIP, they're just going to recall instantly. The wave here is coming towards the turret. Zorozero is level 2, so they won't be able to just straight up dive him, and he can try and at least clear a few minions, try and get some CS, and then NIP now, Hulberto coming down. Miffy actually stopped his recall, started it again now, but Hulberto coming down to defend. Millennium, they know they're already backing away from NIP's side, so you see KottenX moving into the jungle. They're just going to trade 1-for-1.
1-for-1 trade, and let's have a look then at the quiet area of the map as it has been in that mid lane. Of course, Kerp on Karthus versus Nukeduck on Twisted Fate. The CS there very much level, going to be farm heavy this early game.
And I like this ghost flashy on Nukeduck. It's something we've seen over in OGN quite a lot. It means you're so mobile as TF, and when you actually gank here, you can chase. You can just get your gold card, stun him, pop your ghost, get the next one. It's so hard to get away. It's so much CC you can bring as this TF. So I like this setup. And also, if he decides to split push late game, but doesn't really want to fight, it's going to help him escape, teleport somewhere else, and maybe get a turret for NIP.
Also seeing the top laners return to a 1v1 scenario, actually coming out really level after that start as well. We did see the Doran's Blade start for Kevin, Doran's Shield for Zorozero on Dr. Mundo, and they're just going to be farming up that lane as we would expect. It also, of course, brings us back to a duo on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, we need to see how both teams will handle this one. There's obviously a big wave coming down for NIP. They could send down Hulberto to try and force Millennium away from the tower once the wave actually hits in there. Try and deny them some CS, and you see Freeze already here. Level ahead of Creaton, forcing him away, trying to deny some XP from him. But a big wave coming in. Hulberto is going to recall, so he won't join in with the dual lane.
That will bring the CS total a little bit more even. We can see that both Creaton and Jree very, very nervous about stepping too far out into this one and end up getting caught by Mythion Leona. We've seen him time after time crafting these first blood opportunities for Ninjas in Pajamas. They did that in the playoffs as well. Now that wave goes through to the turret, a bit more of a relaxed farm time for Millennium there.
And we also need to see how Jree, once we actually come to the team fights here, how he decides to use his ultimate. What he can do is when Miffy actually engages in, he can pop his ultimate between Miffy and the team, leave Miffy all alone in the middle of Millennium, and the rest of NIP shot far away, and that's an easy kill for them to turn everything around. Or he can just try and shoot Miffy away with the rest of the team, completely disengaged from Millennium's side with this Janna pick.
Should mention as well that Twisted Fate has in fact hit level 6 now. I believe Kerp will be there as well. So those two global ultimate, so it was what we can call Nukeduck. Basically a global ultimate, obviously being able to use that Destiny to teleport around the map. And Kerp will also have the Requiem as well, so we'll see if they come into play. 6.5 minutes in, we can see that the gold lead is currently in favor of the Ninjas in Pajamas. Still very slim lead at this stage though.
Very, very slim. Just Zorozero actually pulling ahead in farm up in the top lane here. Dr. Mundo is not the best laner, same goes for Shyvana though. Both of them really want to get to this late game point where they can start split pushing, but also team fight really well. Kevin though needs to be careful he doesn't fall too far behind. He's only level 4 to the level 6 here, but a very big wave coming in for him.
Yeah, I was going to say that's almost the thing about that. The Dr. Mundo isn't so strong there, but he's doing very well at this point.
Yeah, and look at this here. Hulberto moving over here because one, they expect a gank onto Zorozero, so he wants to join in. At the same time, they can also, if the wave hits the turret here, with Nukeduck coming in, with Hulberto, try and deny the entire wave from Kevin. Seems though they changed their mind and go towards this blue buff. Easy pickup. Kevin is forced to stay at his own tower because of the big wave. He can't lose out on this XP now.
And of course that is what happened at the start of the game. Ninjas in Pajamas took the blue buff away from Millennium, and KottenX went over to the bottom side of NIP's jungle and did exactly the same. Not sure they're going to be able to do that this time around though. We see there's a ward on blue. Leona is coming up to ward around the ramp area, which means they're going to get obviously it's an Evelynn, so a normal ward's not going to spawn, but now they see KottenX's position. Good ward from Mithy.
The thing we talked about in Champ Select, against Evelynn, you need these deep wards in here because you're going to spot her at the camps every single time. And look at the wards from NIP in the jungle of Millennium here. So many deep wards. They're going to see KottenX every single time, and that's why they can just continue to push up to all the lanes here. Hulberto though, giving all the blue buff to Nukeduck. So 2 blue buffs for NIP. Kerp needs to just farm without it, but he's Karthus, he can survive it.
Will be all right with that one, I think. Still not seen either Karthus or Twisted Fate getting too involved yet using those ultimates, but then again, we've not really seen much action across the map, as there's that ward you were talking about earlier by the white. KottenX here is going to get spotted by Zorozero. There's no one to really back him up. Zorozero not going to have massive damage, but here comes Twisted Fate. Flash used by KottenX.
KottenX really needs to be careful moving around the jungle here because of all the wards from NIP. If he, as we just saw here, down to like 50%. Boom, instant ultimate from Nukeduck. Want to try and kill him. Forced the flash this time, but they also got the ultimate from Nukeduck. So Millennium now, with the ultimate here from Kerp, could actually try and set something up.
Well, let's see, down on the bottom side actually, bottom lane has in fact not recalled, but pulled back a little bit with that tower being down and the wave already pushing out. And to take those golems, every little bit counts here for Creaton. He's 74 to 66 CS behind. Actually, I was going to say there must be a lot of gold there for Freeze. He's sat on 1,600 gold, 1,000 gold to spend for Creaton as well.
Yeah, so Freeze is farming up for the BF sword here. Once he goes back, rejoins the lane, that's where we can see the action start from NIP side, because that's where Draven really starts to hurt. Of course though, Jree should be hitting level 6 very, very soon. And once he got that, he can always disengage, but for now he's only level 5.
Is this an opportunity for NIP? There's a ward in that brush, so they will have vision of Mithy. Let's not forget that tower is in fact still there for Millennium.
Yep.
So that's going to be a push down. And KottenX already starting to move in. Good timing as well, because Hulberto is on his way down.
So he spot Hulberto here. Actually sneaked out. Hulberto doesn't know KottenX is nearby, still in stealth. They're moving towards the dragon though for NIP side here. Could just be to ping it, clear the wards here. Of course, Elise is very strong at the early objectives. Actually decided to ping all the way up here. It's very standard, because you can see KottenX move around within a small bush in the river, but they won't be able to clear at least the dragon area.
This could be an opportunity for Millennium though. Yeah. The recall spotted, and yeah, they're going to go for this one.
I mean, they saw 2 members from NIP recall. Hulberto's the only guy here. Nukeduck, no ultimate yet, but actually Hulberto's enough to scare them away. They do, however, get the pink ward. Second one they actually take away from NIP very, very fast. So that's 200 gold wasted.
Nicely done. We see the sweeper coming out here for Hulberto. Actually, they've got 3 very early sweepers here, have NIP. Want to get those wards taken away as much as possible, have that dominance over the game that they've done a fantastic job of so far. And look at this, Ninjas in Pajamas coming back down towards the dragon after recalling earlier and stopping Millennium's attempt on it. They're going to get this one for free. There's no one around there for Millennium.
So, due to the fact Millennium first spotted NIP recall, they went towards the dragon, but because Hulberto was there to stop them, or well, because they got scared of Hulberto with the 4 members at the dragon, they backed away, and then they had to recall because the bottom lane, they didn't recall yet. Kerp didn't recall yet. So NIP knew It was about this time they would have to recall, and with the 4 members returning from base, they can just go straight towards the dragon. Even though there was a ward in the pit, didn't do anything.
Have a look down some items here as that pressure comes in from NIP. The Rod of Ages is done there for Kerp, buying that outright. Athene's Unholy Grail on the other side for Nukeduck, but this tower is going so very quickly. Miffy's going to join in, but I'm not sure that it's even needed. Kerp is going to be coming around, but it's going to be too late. That tower is going to go down. KottenX was there as well, just a little bit too slow, and again, NIP just capitalizing on that completely as Free's going to get pushed, but again, Draven just knocks him away.
Knocks him away, but very strong combination from NIP with both Elise and Twisted Fate to take these towers down as soon as there's a chance. Both of them doing really well on getting the towers down. So good move here. And it all falls back to the fact Millennium, instead of recalling when NIP recalled, went towards the dragon and then backed away from it again. So they gave the dragon, and then also the very obvious recalls that NIP just took full advantage of.
And we said it in the pre-game, NIP are very methodical when it comes to these objectives, and so far that's pretty much what they've concentrated on, just as we expected. We heard from both teams coming into this game that they were almost coming in blind because they've not been scrimming each other, they've not been really seen, or certainly Millennium have not been seen since the end of that summer split, spring split, as Nukeduck here just getting a little bit caught out. Actually will not be chased down, they don't go in for him.
But again, NIP moving in towards the blue buff, timer on it from this. They took it the first time, took it the second time, get it the third time here as well. And again, look in the jungle of Millennium. Everything is warded. There's no way you can move in this jungle, even as Evelynn, without being spotted out. Unless, of course, you don't do a single camp. Nukeduck, though, going towards KottenX.
Gonna throw in the ghost, and there is a cocoon landing as well. Have they got enough damage? There's the axes coming over from Draven, and it's Hulberto that picks up the first kill. Can he get Kerp here as well? Exhaust goes on to Nukeduck, where he's flashed away. Janna comes around the side. It is gonna be a kill. Kevin has teleported down, but is he gonna have enough damage here? The Requiem comes down, but it's not enough to get one back.
So NIP used the full advantage of the map here, that full vision of KottenX, popped the ghost from Nukeduck, started the fight here. They were not afraid of Kerp at all. He even tried to flash in and exhaust onto Nukeduck. He just flashed away, and then the rest of NIP joined in. Both top laners are here, both had to use the teleport, but nothing happened with it.
And look at this NIP, thanks to those wards you mentioned earlier on, so very deep in the Millennium jungle. Even though the entire Millennium team was there, they had vision of them moving away, and they were able to come back around, steal away another buff from Millennium, and then simply walk back on out.
And they're just taking full advantage of the fact that every single lane, NIP, they have the pressure. Top lane, Zorazero's been pushing down all the time. Kevin actually got it back in CS now, but they've just been building up these big waves for each other. A big wave is coming towards Zorozero now once he returns. Bottom lane wise, we've seen Creaton and Jree stay very far back for a long time. And then mid lane, of course, Kerp just been farming away, being denied these blue buffs, hard for him to go aggressive. So NIP, because that full control of the lanes, and because of, again, the recall from Millennium before, they could just go and get all these wards, find the teamfight they wanted, pick up 2 kills.
And I want to go back as well to what we talked on in the pre-game in terms of KottenX and Kerp having to shut down Nukeduck in that mid lane. KottenX having to have an impact on the game, really. And one thing that that NIP have done so well to keep him out are those deep wards. He's not really had a chance to do anything so far.
No, they fully respected him and said, we want to invest so much money into wards so we can just full vision. But KottenX coming towards mid lane here.
And there is Hulberto as well. Actually, KottenX just sidestepping the cocoon. In the end, not too much happening from that one. Nukeduck did take a little bit of damage on the way through. Ninjas in Pyjamas did bring Mithy up to that mid lane just to make sure that there was no push coming in onto this mid turret. But look what we have here. 3 men in the middle lane. Draven down the bottom. Dr. Mundo on the top side of the map. Millennium trying to steal away as much jungle as they can and push this lane out as fast as possible, but not able to do it. Twisted Fate in this scenario as that minion wave is coming up with this wild cards just cleared out so quick.
Yeah, Twisted Fate is going to be the wave clear for NIP. Of course, Elise brings some wave clear, but he's actually teleporting towards Kerp.
Yeah, straight in on top of him there. I'm not sure that this is the best idea, or maybe now it is with Hulberto and Mithy coming across. There is a solar flare, sidestep, but he doesn't get away from the Zenith blade. There's another stun coming down. Kevin's going to ulti over onto Nukeduck, but they get the stun onto him. Kevin going to go low from this one. Have they got the damage to finish off? Not really. And Hulberto is low here as well. He has to be very careful. There's a Draven ultimate, not quite going to get over in time. In the end, it's a 1-for-1 with both mid laners going down.
And the coordination here from NIP was a little bit off. Miffy actually already moved away from the mid lane when Nukeduck then teleported into the face of Kerp, so he couldn't join in instantly. Also, I believe there was actually a red card from Nukeduck. He didn't actually stun Kerp here, so it took a lot of damage for it. And then Millennium then, with KottenX, with Kevin, managed to turn it around and trade 1-for-1.
KottenX and Kevin on this top side of the map. Zorozero farming up an absolute storm now. 140 to 96 CS, doing a very, very good job of that. Already got his Giant's belt in there, a chain vest and the cloak as well. So we'll see how he decides to first of all build. Looking like he's going to be Sunfire Cape first of all on that one for him. Meanwhile, they're clearing out towards Dragon. Look at the timer, 15 seconds until that comes up. Another pink ward down, that'll spot the only ward that's giving Millennium vision of the Dragon.
Millennium, though, this time actually recalled before, and then they need to rush towards this Dragon if they want to have a chance of stopping NIP from doing it. Both Miffy and Freeze are nearby. Nukeduck and Hulberto already in position. It is already pinged. Jree, though, will get vision, but the rest of Millennium, they're not in position to stop NIP at all.
Not particularly trying to get in there from the side and throwing in those Howling Gales, but it will be smited down there for Hulberto. And that is a second Dragon for Ninjas in Pajamas. Their game, you have to say, going completely to plan at this stage.
Very much to plan indeed. I think the Karthus pick actually surprised him a little bit though from Kerp. It's not a champion I would expected him to play. I thought he would play more of a lane bully here and try and shut down Nukeduck, but instead he focused more on the team fight and the late game. Reese though, going aggressive with the Creaton. Creaton winning the trade, however.
And then backing off as Miffy comes around the side. Scared of that Leona, diving in pretty tanky already. Is Miffy there, does have his ultimate available for that one as well. Should mention something we didn't touch on earlier on, the duo lane of Millennium, both running summon a heal at this stage. But we can see Miffy going in, he's actually going to land the Zenith blade. There is his ultimate as well, but Twisted Fate is going to join the party. That's a good knockback from the Monsoon, but I'm not sure it's enough to keep them up. That's a great Howling Gale, but we are going to see Nukeduck coming around the side. He's picked the right card, flashes in, Creaton going to go down. Jree should be able to get away from this one, but that's another kill for NIP.
And right here you see the reason for Ghost Flash. So mobile, he can chase afterwards. Good knockback though from Jree, disengaging everything. Sadly though, both summons were ready for Nukeduck. Chase up towards Creaton, who had to use both Flash and heal before.
Strong lead for the Ninjas in Pajamas, 6,000 gold. They're currently stood on, and look at this. This amazing objective control, or the buff control I want to really point out, because Millennium have not really had buffs for this entire game.
Only KottenX getting the double for level 1. They are now just been denied everything, of course. Kerp wants to get the blue off in the mid lane. Nope, every single time. Also because look in the top lane here. Oh, KottenX have been caught out.
He is bitten off far too much than he can chew at this stage. Nukeduck comes in, all the pain goes down, and that will stop them chasing on through from that. But they do get themselves another buff stolen away here from KottenX once more.
And once again, they get the deep wards in here. But as I was trying to say, look at the top lane. Every single time Zorozero is in this lane, he pushes Kevin all the way down to the tower. It means NIP can always roam between mid lane and top lane if they want to. And of course, if KottenX goes into gank, they will spot him out and try and do something else on the map. Zorozero though, he will actually be caught out here. Jree joining in as well.
They got enough damage to kill off the Dr. Mundo though. He's not got his ultimate available here. They are going to chase over the top. He's looking for the flash away, finds it as well, and again just drawing so much pressure up to this top side. You see 4 men on that top side of the map. They weren't able to do anything with that pressure, and actually Millennium finally got a blue buff as well.
And that's actually why it was not the ideal time for Zorozero to be so far off, because NIP had recalled after the red buff, so they couldn't put any pressure elsewhere on the map. So Zorozero actually just gave up his flash for pretty much nothing, because he overextended while the rest of NIP was in the base. It's very important when you split push, you make sure you only overextend, apply pressure when the rest of your team is in a position to do something in the mid lane or in the bottom lane.
Let's have a look at that bottom lane and the items that we have currently. Decent little CS lead for Freeze, 3 assists to his name as well. Bloodthirster and 2 parts of that Infinity Edge as well, coming out with the Crit Cloak and the BF Sword. Other side, we see that Creaton picked himself up the Zeal on top of his Bloodthirster.
So if Freeze is going to go with his standard build, it's going to be after Bloodthirster already completed, then the Infinity Edge, and then he's going to go Last Whisper. So he doesn't actually invest into attack speed, just goes full on. High amount of attack damage, hit you in the face, crit you for 1,000, and you're gonna die. That's the way he's gonna go with this, and it fits really well with the comp. Again, Cocoon from Elise, of course, the stun from Nukeduck here onto a single target, Miffy locking down a target. whoever they actually catch out here, when you build this Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, Bloodthirster, you're just gonna have so much damage. But look here, Nukeduck moving towards the bottom lane. Will they try and set something up?
KottenX actually inside of the brush, but there is Destiny gonna be popped. Can they get in on top of them for this one? Twist of Fate is coming down from this bottom side. There is Zorozero. They get the slow and the stun onto KottenX. He won't be able to escape this. He gets a good shield from his ultimate, but Zorozero right in the middle of them as a whirling death comes through. Exhaust on Creaton as well. His freeze and flashes through to get the 1 kill. Kerp's gonna go down here as well. And the ninjas in pajamas pick up 3 kills. Will the ultimate be enough to finish off? Yes, it will. It actually gets Nukeduck in the end. So it's a 4-for-1 for the ninjas.
4-for-1. Very, very strong setup here. Using, again, the teleport and the Twisted Fate, the double global they got here to come down. And just as soon as Millennium was overextended, pile onto them, get the kill. Kevin, though, gets a turret up here in the top lane. NRP, though, get the second one.
Yeah, I was going to say the trade not really on Millennium's side, but something, I suppose, for nothing by the end of that one. Interesting enough, Kevin decided not to come down. Here's the replay of that one once again. Nukeduck trying to get in. There's this teleport from Zorozero to control the other two that was amazing.
The deep ward from before when they got the kills, got into the red buff, is the one you can teleport to. And from here on and out, this single target stuns and then the damage from Freeze coming in. Getting a lot of extra gold from his passive as well. Kerp tries to join in, it's too late. He's just gonna go down as well. Nukeduck though, someone has to die.
Well, that one tower hit certainly didn't help his cause. Maybe if that would have not landed, the Requiem wouldn't have been enough to finish off. But either way, that leaves us at a 9,000 gold advantage for NIP. 4-2 on turrets. And the next objective is coming up here very shortly. Dragon in just 20 seconds time. Hulberto actually might be getting a little bit caught out. There's a Dragon's Descent from Kevin. That's some good damage from the side. Hulberto trying his best to run away. Great Solar Flare from Mythy. Catches 3 of them and stops them chasing for the kill.
Very, very good ultimate from Mythy. Nukeduck though staying aggressive here, getting some damage onto Kerp. And Kerp, he's been doing a very good job farming-wise here. He's gonna become very, very strong. But he might not get strong enough in time because NRP is putting so much pressure on the map because they're so far ahead already. And also with this Leona pick here, with the TF, they can always engage a fight if they want to.
Get themselves a blue buff, but that will be spited away by KottenX. That's 2 in a row. I think the best run of picking up their own blue buff that Millennium have actually had so far in this game. It did move in for that one, but weren't able to get anything. We see that the Infinity Edge, while we're looking at Freeze, is down. He's got the pickaxe and the longsword, so Last Whisper's coming soon.
On his first kill, he received 1,020 gold from his passive here, because he's just been farming the entire time. Obviously, the second one only gave like 60 gold, but still, the first one gave over 1,000 gold to him from his Adoration stacks, meaning, of course, Infinity Edge, very soon the Last Whisper as well. So he's single target damage. If you get stunned by someone from NIP side here, you're gonna get chunked big time.
Yep, had Mythy there. They had a ward in the brush. They knew that KottenX was there, and he's just having a little bit of a dance just to try and divert the attention away from the red buff, which NIP once again were able to get over and steal. I want to look at this top lane once again because Zorozero has done nothing but pressure this top lane. Look at the level difference that he has in there as well. He's doing big damage actually on towards Kevin, who's gonna have to back away. That leaves this turret, which is already low, open to things as KottenX gonna get caught out. He's not gonna escape that one. They pile on once again.
Every single ultimate from Nukeduck, apart from the very first one where they only got a flash from KottenX, gave kills to NIP. Zorozero, also due to no pressure from KottenX, no pressure from Kevin actually, just been dominating his lane, pushing it down every single time. And in the dual lane, they stayed passive until they had the teleport from Nukeduck. Then they started something. Kerp coming in here, early Sonya's here, didn't even take a hit yet.
Take a hit, but he's going to take it once that Zonya's actually wears out. Baron is still up. Kerp is going to go down. They've done good damage, but the Requiem is going to come in. Will Zorozero fall at the top? No, he won't. NIP getting low. Nukeduck will surely go down. No, he gets the flash off, and that allows him just about to get away. Zorozero actually going to throw his ultimate on here to get that good regen out. In the end, it's a very prolonged fight, but one that only ends in one single kill.
And a bit of an aggressive Baron call from NIP. They got the kill onto the jungle, of course. There would be any smite from Millennium, but the rest of them were actually there. They could join in. We saw Kerp coming in as the first guy. Almost picking up some kills here. Only guy to actually go down. Stop the Baron as well from NIP side here. So a little bit of an aggressive play, but that's obviously very different from the NIP we saw back at the last relegation where they would just play so safe. So I like the more aggressive style here, even though it was maybe a little bit too aggressive this time around.
they've got still a bit of room to play with, though, I think we can safely say. I want to talk about Nukeduck and his build here, picking up that Lich Bane now. Also got Distortion on his Sorcerer shoes, so that Flash and Ghost are going to be even more effective for him, and of course extra movement speed from the Lich Bane as well.
It's just mobility on mobility, utility. I mean, once he pours down on your face, you're not going to run away from him. He's so fast, he will always be able to catch on to you. Again, Distortion here in 4.5. Once you pop the Ghost, even better now. Once you flashes, I believe it's like 1 second speed up or 2 second speed up as well afterwards. So you're just going to be so fast at catching on to these targets here. And that's where NIP, as long as Zorozero can split push in one lane and they can pressure elsewhere, then Nukeduck can find opportunities to join in on the side lanes, set something up. And if someone from Millennium is overextended, he's going to be caught.
And let's not forget the Distortion gives you 20% extra cooldown
on
your Flash and Ghost as well. So overall, pretty good build there from Nukeduck, and he's currently sat at 6-2-3. So having definitely a good game. As Ninjas in Pyjamas once again move towards the Baron area. There is a ward there though for Millennium, so they're going to have full vision of the Ninjas in Pyjamas moving in.
And NIP actually, they do start the Baron here. Millennium are going to come over here very, very fast. Of course they're going to spot them, but still, being caught here in the pit against the Karthus is not a good idea from NIP's side. And they don't even have to start this Baron. They could actually just split pushed around. But let's see here. Millennium coming in for the fight.
Are they going to go in? Yes, they are. Kerp going to get Doe one, so he pops his Zhonya's very early on and then flashes into the rest of the NIP team. He gets his first kill on this one. Myth is going to go down. Hulberto dies as well. This is a great fight for Millennium so far. A 3-for-1. Zorozero still chasing, and Nukeduck is chasing down Jree inside of the Baron pit. They get that kill, and Zorozero, I tell you what, he's tanky enough, and he's got decent damage here. He may be able to pick up another one onto KottenX. He will get that kill, and now Nukeduck is tracking around the other side, ghosting in for this one. Is he going to be able to get the stun down? He's very close to being in range there onto Kevin, and there it is, plus the teleport from the back. Kevin's going to fall here in just a second, and what looked like a great start to the fight for Millennium. Ninjas in Pyjamas get the ace and turn again to Baron with just 2 men.
So Zorozero's ultimate is going to be ready soon, meaning he can tank the Baron here. They're doing a lot of damage with Nukeduck as well. Hulberto rushing in with the rest of the team to try and help them out here. Ultimate needs to be ready very soon. Zorozero, you're dropping very low from this.
Probably a little
Kerp's
bit
ultimate is off. Kerp's ultimate.
Yeah, Requiem coming in. He's got enough regen, I think, from this one. Though. In fact, Nukeduck doesn't even go down, and that will be the Baron continue and finish off here for the Ninjas in Pyjamas.
But the ultimate from Zorozero just came up in time here. Delayed it by 2 more seconds, and the ultimate from Kerp would have killed him here together with Nukeduck, because Baron would just blasted towards Nukeduck. That was very, very clutch.
Clutch stuff, and Millennium actually looking to maybe get something back from all of this that's gone wrong for them. 15-5 behind on kills. Gold lead is very much so in Ninjas in Pyjamas' favor, but they do get their 3rd turret of the game there, taking down that middle outer turret. It leaves them though 13,500 gold behind.
Yeah. But we talked about how the Baron call was still a bit of a... Again, it's a bit too over-aggressive from NIP, because the fight actually went in favor of Millennium from the start. Then Nukeduck, though, stayed in the back, and Zorozero was so tanky because he's so far ahead of Kevin. He stayed alive. So they managed to win out the fight here, but it was way too close for the gold lead NIP got here. They didn't have to go for the Baron. Good response by Millennium, coming in, picking up some kills. Kerp now with 3 kills and on border farm here. He can still become very dangerous once he gets to death.
Yeah, Rod of Ages is done for him. Went Zhonya's second. We've seen him already pop in that in a couple of fights, and has an ensilage rod as he works up towards that Rabadon's death cap. But Zorozero, you have to say, almost 100 CS in front. Actually, they're going to step forward from this one. Twisted Fate actually doesn't follow his destiny through. Nukeduck here will stay down the bottom lane.
There's no Zhonya's Hourglass onto Nukeduck here, so he can just engage in the fight. If he had the Zhonya's, he would jump in the face of Millennium, pop it in as soon as he pops in, as soon as he stuns a target, and then they wouldn't be able to kill him, and that could be the engage from NIP here. But because he didn't have it, because maybe he wasn't in range to start something, he decided not to pour it in. Ultimate gone, but NIP though got the tower, and now they're staying and pushing all the lanes. Actually, no, Nukeduck joining in here, 5 members in mid.
Gonna come up mid. Kevin is still down on that bottom side. It's Zorozero that has to tank stuff up. He's pretty much 27 health every tick here without his ultimate running, so that is a lot of regen coming in as Kerp gets caught by the wild card there at the back. He goes low, gonna be forced to now back away. Whirling Death comes around the backside, and they force themselves in on that inhib turret. The inhibitor can't be defended realistically here from Millennium.
Full attack damage Draven, a TF who's so fed with the Lich Bane as well. You take turrets down instantly as soon as you get a chance. They forced Millennium away just a few seconds onto the tower, and it was gone from NIP's side here. Look at Freeze as well. I mean, if he hits you in the face, if he hits Jree in the face here, he's going to take like 85% on a crit.
If that crit does land onto you, could get a little bit lucky and avoid maybe 1 or 2 crits in there, but generally he's going to win out anyway. Another red buff going over. I don't think they've had any red buff since maybe the second one. Actually, here Millennium. Zorozero, I'd like to say gets caught out, but he's so ridiculously tanky. You can see him sticking onto KottenX. There they land the Solar Flare as well. KottenX actually throwing his ulti down to get that shield and stay healthy enough, but NIP just forcing them straight back into their base.
Nukeduck is all the way up in the top lane. He won't be able to join with his ultimate in case Millennium wants to engage here. This could be the time for them. They just tried. It didn't work. The ultimate from KottenX is gone. That's the main part of the engage here. So NIP feeling safe, just staying around, applying pressure while Nukeduck pushes down the top lane.
Just going to try and force someone from Millennium to come away. 4 versus 5. You have to feel that even then it might not be in favor. Yeah, this is a lot of damage from Freeze coming out. There was the turret taken down by Nukeduck in the top lane. Is he going to keep going? I mean,
yeah, why not?
Why not? There's no reason not to. Actually, he's going to pop Destiny here, which goes to just show where all the Millennium players are. That turret is going to fall. And actually, Millennium going to go for this fight here. Are they going to be able to get in on time? There is the culling coming out. Zorozero still tanking up the front line and actually goes through, but it's Kerp that's been a bit of a trouble for them. They do finally drop Kerp, but the Requiem is going to come through. Not enough to find any kills for them. And NIP have managed to get through that one constantly. Okay, then they did get Freeze in the end, but the fact is that Nukeduck has pushed all the way through, took down the inhib, was already working on the Nexus turrets. They knew they had to go for this one. Now they're going to get some extra style points at the end, but the Nexus is going to fall, and NIP pick up 1 game and move a step closer to the LCS.
Very, very dominant performance by NIP. Full control of the enemy jungle from the start. Got the first blue buff, got all the next few blue buffs. I believe one of them went over to Kerp after like 25 minutes, and then just the deep wards throughout the entire game. KottenX, there was nothing he could do in the early game. Every single time he tried to move somewhere, he was spotted out by NIP, and then they just used the Twisted Fate ultimate perfectly. The turret was gone in the bottom lane, and then whenever Millennium just moved a little bit up here in the lane, he would jump down behind him, teleport from Zorozero, pick up a few more kills, get some more deep wards, get down another tower, and then just do it again and again. And then we also have to highlight, of course, the fact that Zorozero, I think he beat Kevin by 80, 90 CS up in his top lane, just kept pushing him down. That's one of the reasons they could go for this blue buff all the time, because they had the wave pushed all the way down to the tower of Kevin. He would never be able to join in, because if he loses out on this CS when he's already so far behind, he's just going to be a no factor.
Yeah, by the end it was 80 CS, and to be honest, wasn't really close in there. We saw that Kevin constantly went low trying to defend that inner turret in the top lane, had to go back, recall, come back into the lane there where he'd already lost a little chunk off his turret, and Zorozero just played the, it's not a fantastic game to play that, it's the almost mind-numbing push in, push out, push in, push out.
Yeah, it's not the most exciting thing.
It's so effective, and especially when you're ahead like that, it's basically just a matter of time before you end up pushing through. Also, Nukeduck, we talked about in pre-game that he's a massive factor that has to be shut down from Millennium's side. He ended 10-4 by the end of it. We saw he basically just finished off the game for NIP there. Millennium trying to defend that bottom lane. He took the inhibitor turret, and was already halfway through the Nexus turret as Millennium engaged 5v4 in the bottom, which they still only got 1 kill onto Freeze.
Well, again, they had to engage at this point. They were so far behind. Try something. Nukeduck's ultimate had ran out, so he wouldn't be able to teleport in and just try and win it. Of course, it was too late. But we have to look a little bit about the picks from Millennium here. We talked about it. They talked about it in the pre-game video. Again, we need to shut down Nukeduck in the mid. You don't pick Karthus then, who is, yes, okay, Karthus, of course. Froggen will probably completely disagree because he loves Karthus. He can win every matchup, of course, but Karthus is not exactly one you pick when you want to shut down the enemy mid laner. It's more when you want to be very strong in the late game, in the team fights, and of course the pressure of your ultimate. So that was a bit of a weird pick for me, to try and shut down Nukeduck here. And then at the same time, when you pick Evelynn jungle, and you have weak laners all around, Shyvana is not a very strong laner. Karthus, of course, early on, he's not the one who jumps into the enemy jungle or something, or sets something up, or just pressures out the enemy guy in the mid lane, and you get full vision or full control of the map. And then the bottom lane, again, the Janna pick. Yes, Leona is not the best laner herself when it comes to, like, again, something that can disengage, but still, when you pick something like Janna, you have these weak lanes which won't be able to fight. That's where, of course, Leona is a lot better, because when you lock down targets and you have the damage from TF, from Elise, from Draven here. So don't pick the weak laners when you pick a jungler who requires a jungle to not be warded to actually apply pressure on the map. And also is not the strongest in like these 2v2 fights, because they wouldn't be able to win them. We saw them the few times they tried. NIP just turned it around. Like, they were not afraid of taking the small fights because the comps from Millennium didn't actually do too much.
Well, definitely a lot to be worked on for Millennium going towards Game 2. And for more insight into that match, let's check in with Shocks, Demon, and Dexter.
Thank you very much, Joe. And as the Officio touched on already, that Evelynn not making the impact that it would be able to do, and it was a first pick, a first lock, and you immediately said that is not something that we would do. Why is that?
I think first picking Evelynn is not a good option, to be honest. There were so many picks that were better, and I think even the first pick Lucian would have been better. And the fact that NIP didn't take it in the first rotation told me that they actually wanted to play against it, because there was no way that they will leave Lucian open. And the Leona they also locked in Janna against Leona and expected to go 2-on-2 lanes, which I really disagree with. I think they should have picked differently, and they got outpicked and outclassed in that whole game.
And talking to the 2-on-2 lanes, obviously they went for the 4-0 split push, which we've seen so commonly, but you spotted a mistake?
I think both teams actually misplayed it. Zorozero shouldn't have TP'd there. He could have died there. Like, if Millennium would have done the right choice, they would have doven him and he would have died, even with flash up and being a Mundo. But I also think at the same time, like, we refer to it as like the C9 push, where you just push on the second wave instead of the third wave, which gives you like the advantage. And you just take, as a jungler, you only take one buff and leave the other buff that you have in your jungle for like 5-minute mark or something, and then come back and get it. But that way you don't waste any time. You get level 2 on both your jungler and top lane, and then you just go for the 4-0 push. So it's really effective, and you win like 1 minute or something and win the base race, even on purple side when you do that.
So even with that going that way, let's expand on that, on the junglers, because as you said, the Evelynn, Antic, not that best pick as a first pick, and then the Evelynn on the other side. How impressed were you with Hulberto's skills on that Elise in this game?
He actually went the cooldown reduction build with the E second max, which is pretty good right now, because I think Meteors was the first one who played it and showed everyone that it's really effective. So lucidity boots on Elise are really good, and I think even when the matchup is bad early game for Elise, Evelynn didn't do anything. So Elise could just farm up, get levels, and after like level 13 when the E is maxed, it's like a 2-second stun. And they also had TF, which is like a 2-second stun at 13, so they can just chain CC pretty much forever. So I really like TF and Elise together, which is pretty good. So yeah, I like that item build a lot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had the global gold stacks, the Draven in there, along with the Twisted Fate. What do you make of that, the Twisted Fate up against the Karthus? Do you think that Kerp maybe could have pulled something better than a Karthus out there? I
think with the fact that they picked Janna that early, I think Soraka had a better impact, and I'm pretty surprised that no one is picking Soraka. She has the same impact. She has better, like, if you heal, it's the same as taking, like, you mitigate damage, you know? Yeah. And with the Janna together, it has more sense. Like, it makes more sense because they had no kill pressure on both lanes. Like, Shyvana doesn't kill anyone on her own, and the Janna and Lucian lane doesn't kill one either. So I think the Karthus was a really missed mistake, and a TF pick, even on blue side, would have been better, but the best option would probably be Soraka and just go for team fights.
So is that the main thing you take from this? Should they, even if they don't play it, ban the TF and take the Soraka, or what were the other lanes? What were the picks you kind of want to see coming out from Millennium?
Well, honestly, I think TF is the first pick or ban-worthy champion again, and even I said it at playoffs, like to my team, ban TF maybe, even if they don't play it. The risk is too high that they might play it. And I think he's making a comeback right now. He's really, really good, especially with the new items, like the Lich Bane, the build path is better, and he doesn't have any bad matchups. If you go in Assassin, he just takes Exhaust and negates all the early game. And the 4-man push really favors him too, because he gets a free lane. And the second 4 towers are down, like TF has a free farm and free roam. And I also think that first picking Evelynn with the TF open is a mistake because it negates the stealth and yeah.
So obviously rolling into game 2. Game 1 we said a lot hinges on that. Yeah. Do we see NIP now rolling through this one, or what can Millennium do to maybe turn it back around?
It depends if they have another strategy prepared for it. And NIP has blue side right now, so I guess they expect to either get like Lucian maybe on the second rotation, or they leave it open again, and they really want to play against it. And yeah, apparently the Draven is a counter to it. Friesen is a really good Draven player, so I trust his abilities to do that lane. So yeah, it's all a matter of who plays the matchups out correctly, and I think NIP outclassed Millennium on every lane this game.
Well, we will find out soon how that second game turns out, but first it's time for us to head off Rift for just a moment. We'll be right back with the second game between Millennium and Ninjas in Pajamas. Stick around.
Is that something? Any flash?
No, I don't have.
I believe no flash, no flash heal. I have the kill, Let me the kill.
Janna as well?
Nice! Lucian! No flash. He's exhaust. I'm tanking.
Nice.
You get to the sky.
Just kill cart.
Okay.
I don't have the tower, buddy. Yeah, yes.
Someone needs to tank the tower. Someone needs to tank the tower.
I'm dead now.
Yeah, sorry. Resting pepperonis.